This stream is cleared for takeoff.
Hi, welcome in everyone. I am CDL, Community Manager for Microsoft Flight Simulator, joined with an absolutely fantastic panel today who I will introduce momentarily. But before I do that, I just want to give a huge thank you to our behind the scenes production crew, Jane, who you just heard, and also Peter, who are managing the audiovisual production and the race lobbies today. This event would not be possible without them doing the yeoman's work. So let's get a big round of virtual applause in the chat to Jane and Peter. And while you're doing that, first I would like to introduce above me our play-by-play commentator for today's racers, Microsoft Flight Sim Twitch streamer, former professional esports personality, Chewy94. Welcome, Chewy. Glad to have you with us.
Oh, it's good to be back again. I have to send a formal apology for missing the heats last week. I was predisposed at another event away from home. I was sorely disappointed to miss the races, but I heard they were good races and very close races as well. So I'm excited to see our 7 finalists today. And those of you who are eagle-eyed might see my Section 3 Reno Air Race shirt in the background there. So I'm repping anybody from Section 3 if you're here in the chat today. You're always loud and proud at Reno, so let us know in the chat as well. But it's good to be back again for the finals, so thank you for having me.
Well, great. Well, we're very happy you're here, and you're absolutely right about last week's qualifying heats. They were some intense, exciting races, some real neck-and-neck overtaking, dramatic finishes, fractions of a second separating qualification from elimination. So if our grand finals today are anything like the qualifying heats last week or better, we're going to be in for a real treat today. Returning from last week, we have from the Reno Air Racing Association, Greg Gibson. Welcome back, Greg.
Thank you, CD. Appreciate it. Glad to be here. We are always excited to have Reno Air Racing on with our friends at Microsoft Flight Simulator. Chewy, good to see you again, man. We did miss you last week. That was you got talked about a lot. So it was, the chat was blowing up there for a little while, and you can just have to watch the video to see what the subject matter was. But it was mostly positive.
Mostly positive. Okay, we'll see about that. Maybe I'll go back and rewatch it. I have a feeling I know what the discussion was, so we'll see.
All right. And last but certainly not least, it is my great pleasure to introduce our VIP guest who will be joining us for the first portion of today's stream. We have the chairman and CEO of the Reno Air Racing Association, Dr. Fred Telling. Dr. Telling is also a T6 racing pilot. He owns 2 of the planes that are featured in the T6 class from Microsoft Flight Simulator, Baby Boomer and Almost Perfect. And he also owns Lady B, one of the P-51 Mustangs from the Unlimited class. Fred, absolutely great pleasure to have you with us today. Welcome to the channel.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And I just have to reinforce a shout out to Section 3. I'm so glad you brought one of their shirts. They are some of our most dedicated and committed fans. And I appreciate the opportunity to be with you all today. I just want to take a few minutes, if I may. First of all, as many of your people online have seen, the announcement was made on March 9th that unfortunately the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority has decided that 2023 will be the last year that the Reno National Championship Air Races will be able to be conducted at Reno State Airport, former military base in our home from 1966 on. We've been very fortunate to have it, but when we set this partnership up with Microsoft, I must say I was first of all very impressed with the fidelity they bring to it. It's incredible, and the quality and the talent, frankly, represented by so many of the racers. But I think what I never anticipated was until we find a new home, which is our intention, the simple truth of the matter is your fans and gamers on Microsoft will be able to race well into the future at the original long-term home for the Reno National Championship Air Races. So I'm just doubly proud and pleased by everything that you've created. On a personal note, obviously, as you said, I am delighted to own 3 of the racers that are on the Microsoft series at this point. And I look forward to cheering anybody on who chooses to pick one of them. There's a great picture, was Lady B, race 49. The chubby guy in the red jacket, that's me, taking a picture of Mike Flieger flying my plane last year. It's race 49, just to give you a little background on history, because that was its original race number when this aircraft was owned by Ed Weiner. last raced at Reno under Ed's ownership was 1969. And after he died, shortly thereafter, it went to the EAA Museum for a long time, came out of the museum from the family about a decade later, was sold into the markets, had 2 or 3 owners, and I bought it back from France in 2005. And last year, I wanted to honor Ed Wiener, so we returned it to the checkerboard pattern display on the background of 49, and it has a little sign next to it in honor and recognition of Ed Wiener. It raced again in the late 70s as Boomer 2 under Jack Harrison, who was a good friend of mine. And so, in point of fact, we're really excited to be the third owner to bring this plane back as the original Bardol miss, as is indicated up on its cowling. I started, for many of you, as a spectator in 1985. And after almost 14 years of watching, I turned to my wife one day and I said, I'd like to do that. I'd gotten my license in 1971. And my wife, when she picked herself up off the floor laughing, explained to me at least 3 good reasons why she thought that was among the dumber decisions that I ever made. And I told her, well, I wasn't military, I wasn't a crop duster, which was true for many of the racers. I said, but I'm still young, I can learn. I was in my mid-40s. I bought Almost Perfect, and a good friend of mine, Gene McNeely, is a long-term racer in T6s. He was my coach and teacher, and I got my checkout in the plane. I got my fast card. I came out to Pylon Racing School in 2000, and then came back in 2001 and graduated. I came in, it was the second qualifying that year on September 10th, and then September 11th happened in 2001. That was the end of the races that year. So 2002 was my first year. But what was interesting is I got closer to racing. Gene said, well, that plane I sold you is fast, but it might not be fast enough. And he told me about another plane, Baby Boomer, at the time called Boomer, that was owned by Joe Hartung, was available for sale. And he goes, that's definitely fast enough. So, of course, I said Gene cost me a lot of money. I bought a second T6, nicknamed it Baby Boomer. I kept the Boomer part in recognition of Joe Hartung and his past race history. And I've raced Baby Boomer for 7 years out there. 2002 became my first rookie year. And in 2005, I bought Lady B, brought it back from France. I hoped to qualify as an unlimited racer. Well, life took on. I've been the head of the T6 class now for about 7 years at that point. I never did qualify in the unlimiteds, but I have my good friend Mike Flieger flying it for me, and we're glad to have it out here and race. So for all that are Microsoft fans, all I can say is, first of all, thank you for skill. I'll tell you one little story out of school for me, and that is when Flight Sim first came out, and I tried years ago when this one came out, my son-in-law is a gamer. He's very good at flying it. He also is qualified, as my daughter is, in my T6. I hope they'll be out to race someday. But he said, well, sit down, you try it. Well, I hate to tell you, I tried 2 or 3 times, first in the T6, then in my Lady B, and I crashed both times. So I have to freely confess, I have enormous respect and pride for each of you who fly these planes as you do. It's actually, I hate to tell you, it's almost easier to fly the real thing. It just costs you a little more money. So I have great respect. I want to thank Microsoft for everything they do and for hosting this event tonight. I'm just delighted to be here and looking forward to interacting with as many of you as possible. And if you get the urge, come see us in September. We're really excited. It'll be the last year at STED, but watch this space on airrace.org. We're working hard to find a new future home for the National Championship Air Races. All the best to you, and thanks, Jane and team, for hosting and getting this all done. I appreciate it. Have the highest admiration for everything you've done. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Fred. Real treat for us to have you joining us. And you're going to stick around for the T6 race, and hopefully we'll get some expert insight and commentary from a real T6 race pilot and former president of the T6 class at Reno. I do want to point out we have a member of our Member of our chat in the blue yonder, who you may know as Brian. He's one of the ground crew members from Team Outlaw Racing in the Formula One class. Brian has given a shameless comment, says tickets are on sale now for the 2023 National Championship Air Races at Reno. So check it out on airrace.org if you want to buy your tickets. Chewy, why don't I turn it over to you? Why don't you introduce our international cast of competitors for the grand finals? These were all 7 pilots who qualified last week, and now they're returning. So over to you, Chewy.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. Here we go. So 7 racers to take part in the grand finals for the second Reno Air Race series. We've got 3 continents being represented today. 3 racers from the US of A. We've got Heavy Hemi, Sopwith Wally, and also Captain Jack Lyle as well. We've got 2 racers from Germany today with Flight Level 0 and also Stoya as well. And then South Africa is on the map with Harry Hauser and finally from Portugal we've got Frank Goiva as well. I don't know how that's how I pronounce that surname. I'm sure I'm going to get ribbed by somebody in chat if I've said that incorrectly. So we've got 4 different nations and 3 different continents on the map for this one, all in one lobby together. Those are going to be our 7 racers, and CD, I think you'll agree those are some familiar names, some of those as well. We've seen some of those names in the past, and some of them are part of a regular group of racers who actually have their own Discord server and everything where they race and practice regularly, right?
That's absolutely correct. And I've just put a link to their Discord server in the Twitch chat right now. If anyone wants to get more involved in virtual Reno Air Racing, go ahead and click that link, join their channel. They are incredibly welcoming to new members. They do want to share their knowledge and get new people involved in the hobby of virtual air racing. They do not hold their cards tight to their chest. They are very willing to share all their tips and tricks and race strategies with newcomers. So go ahead and join their server if you want to get more involved. Chewy, to your point about some returning faces, Flight Level 0 is back. He was our grand champion last year. So he's back this year to defend his title. And we also have a possible redemption arc for Harry. What can you tell us about that, Chewy?
Yeah, so I believe Harry last year was again one of our racers during the first Reno Air Race series. And when competition was getting tight, he had a pylon cut. And I'm sure you've all been tuning into the Reno Air Race series enough now to know what a pylon cut equals. If you don't, it means quite a lot of time off your final score. And with how close all of these races are, it's pretty much game over from that point onward. It would be a miracle for you to come back. You'd have to be relying on other people also making pylon cuts. So maybe a redemption arc here. We'll have to see if there's any more pylon cuts. I think these folks are going to be really great racers, though. I'm not expecting to see any pylon cuts, but we'll make sure to highlight it a split second that we do notice one. Of course, as always, with the UI inside the simulator, you folks are going to be able to see all the live information. You're going to be able to see the lap count, the live timing. You're going to be able to see those pylon cuts information as well. We're hoping we're going to have a number of different first-person point of views, which is something that you don't really get to see in the real-world Reno Air Races. In fact, actually jumping on board with the real-world racers. And then hopefully we're also going to have Peter behind the scenes as our drone operator. So, I mean, as we get into the qualification stage, for those of you who don't know, it's simply just one lap around the track, and it's a very simple concept. Whoever gets the fastest time in that one lap qualifying will start the racing first and then go forward from there. So it's a pretty simple concept on this one, and then we'll get straight into the race as well. The T6 is a really great class to start with. As we get into some of the other classes later down the line, the biplane, you're actually going to see the aircraft take off from the runway and things like that as well with a staggered stance. But this one, the races are going to be all in close formation with another. So Fred, I'm going to ask you another question here. You know, as the racers get into this qualification for the first time, what's going through your mind when you're racing these aircraft or when you're trying to get that qualification time in? Are you really trying to keep everything smooth on the controls? Have your nerves settled by this point? How does it feel when you're actually in the aircraft?
Well, it's pretty exciting. And people, you know, I came to this when I was there. I was trained by, you know, Mary Dilda, who was a gold racer. And, you know, the truth of the matter is, you know, she said, well, why do you do this? And I said, well, the one way I explain it is when I'm out here, the 20 minutes from the time you take off, form up, come down the chute, actually do your roughly 8 minutes of racing and land, I said, for those 20 minutes, I don't worry about fives or work at all. So everything else is shoved out of your mind first and foremost. Do you ever get rid of the jitters? Well, no, I don't think so. When you come down onto the course, the key issue is, make sure that your RPM is as high as you can get it set, your manifold pressure. One of your most important gauges is fuel flow. In a T6, basically at best full power, at this altitude, you're looking for someplace between 70 to 72 gallons per hour. And if you think about these engines, in the reality, you think about them, they're basically an air pump. The more air you can pump through it, because stoichiometry, the fuel to air burn ratio is a constant. So the more air you can put through it, the more fuel you can burn. The more fuel you can burn, the more power you're generating. So that's why, by indirect indication, your fuel flow is really one of your most important indicators of how well you're doing in terms of your setup. Once you're setting up and you're ready to go, basically from there on in, you're trying to fly the smoothest line you can. The rookies, the thing you have to train out of them is, as they approach a pylon, not to all of a sudden herk and jerk. They pull over, they make the turn, and they twist out. The skilled racer, as they're approaching the pylon, begins way before the pylon to slowly begin their process of turning into the turn, makes the pylon, and slowly comes out of it. If you fly your course right, you probably in a T6 don't pull more than about 2 to 2.2 Gs. If you jerk the plane tight, what you do is you create more drag and you burn off speed. Basically, drag induces a speed reduction. So you're looking to fly as close a line as possible but as smooth as possible.
Well, look at some of these shots we have right now. We're currently on board with Frank, and these races so far are shaping up to be even more tightly competed than last week's were. Chewy, what are we seeing here? Let us know what's going on in this race.
Yeah, so I don't know if you saw the qualification times there, but there was actually only 0.8 of a second between all 7 of our races, which I think is going to be a testimony just to how quick and how close all of these races are going to be today. And that is also a testimony, as you can see now, we've got our amazing drone operator. Peter is back. Thank goodness for that. And he's going to be showing some awesome shots. You can see exactly just how close all 7 races are at the moment. It is neck and neck. They are flying in a redefinition of close formation. And as I'm sure all of you will have noticed already in the chat, there are no collisions turned on or anything like that, simply because of how close they are all flying. However, turbulence is on as well. Wake turbulence is something that the pilots will be paying very close attention to. In some aircraft types in the simulator, it can be used to its advantage. In some, it can be a disadvantage as well when you're flying in certain wake areas behind other aircraft. But it's super close. You can see them all battling in that one group. It's a tight pack at the moment.
Yeah, I will say I would not be surprised if any one of our competitors today, our 7 finalists, in any given race, they could finish first or they could finish 7th. That's how tight this competition is going to be.
Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of time in between them either.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that's unique to the T6 class, because we are technically a stock class. The reality is we tend to have much tighter times than nearly any other class. They're all, while there are tweaks to the engine and we can do things to reduce drag, we have the tightest top to bottom times on qualification. So I will say that in a real race with airplanes, you might not see some of these displays as close as they are. We've got some rules about how it operates, but it is fascinating to see the integrity and the quality of the display that you've got here.
I'm having a minor conniption fit here as a former virtual Reno Air Race pilot, seeing all those red arrows on the screen, which indicates there's another plane is in close proximity to you. What a tightly contested race this is, and this is only the first of 4 today. So I think our viewers are going to be in for a real treat.
I feel like if it's going to be this closely contested throughout the course of the day, these folks should move on from Reno Air Racing and form the Virtual Blue Angels or something. I know the Thunderbirds have previously displayed at the Reno Air Races, so I mean, look at this. I don't know what formation you would call this, but it looks like a cool one. I'm certainly enjoying it. There is no outright leader at the moment. Captain Jack Lyle is the name that I've seen at the top for pretty much most of the course so far, and we're already over halfway through this race. 6 laps for the T6 course today, and we're just about to finish lap number 4, I think it is. There we go, through the lap line. So we've got 3 more remaining by the looks of it, and it's still too close to call. You don't know if we've got Frank's View here, Goiva. I'm going to try and nail that surname by the end of today's stream. I will get it right once. He's kind of hanging back at the moment, maybe biding his time, seeing if anybody makes a mistake ahead of him, but they're all staying very close together, nobody kind of giving anything up. And Fred was talking about that smooth flying earlier on. It looks like great smooth flying from everybody involved. There's nobody really pulling ahead from everybody else. I don't know exactly what the time differences are, but if you folks watching at home have a look at that circular map on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see all of the numbers with all the different races, everybody all bunched up on top of each other here. It's looking like a close one. I'm not even going to be putting any predictions. I was just saying about Captain Jack Lyle being in first place. He dropped down to 5th and now back up to 1st again. So there's no way of predicting this, folks. It's way too close.
Well, I love your lap display on this, and the term we use. All the T6 races are required to completed fast start formation flying in advance, but out here we call it unfriendly formation.
Look at that shot of the dust being kicked up as our racers pass the start-finish line to begin lap 5. Greg or Fred, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the different courses at Reno. Not every class races around the same set of pylons. So what's unique about the different courses?
So as you'll be racing later, Jet, Unlimited, and Sport Gold and Silver race on what are called the Unlimited course. It's about a 9-mile course. The furthest point is about 5 miles out from home pylon and about 3.5 miles across. It's the longest course. Then the T6 course is a 5-mile course, much closer in. Then you've got, and Sport, Medallion Sport, for example, also races on the T6 course. Then you have the Formula and Biplane courses, which are a bit smaller than that, about 3.5 miles. And then our newest entrant, Stoll, races on a straight course. It's about 3,000 feet, right in front of the crowd, and they're just terrific to watch. They're not in the game series yet, but the day will come, and they're just marvelous pilots.
All right, here we are, white flag. We are on the final lap now, lap 6 of 6. Heavy Hemi currently in the lead, but the race is so tight that could change in any given moment here.
Let's see if there's any mistakes. It's been clean racing so far. I don't want to have a commentator's curse on anybody, but you can see the white boxes with the black outlining again on the right-hand side next to each racer's name. That will indicate a pylon cut. You'll see a red X appear in one of those dots if we do get a pylon cut. Completely clean racing. And they're still just keeping this formation at the moment. It's been absolutely phenomenal. That name that I mentioned earlier on, Captain Jack Lyle, still leading the course at the moment. With flight level 0 in second place. As soon as I say that, it all swaps around again. Harry Hauser now moving into second place. They're moving through these pylons, coming up to pylon number 5. Of course, all of the racers do have the privilege of that nice white line with the number of the pylon above it, which the real racers certainly don't have the privilege of, as Fred, I'm sure, will attest to. But we're coming up to the finish line now. As CD mentioned, the dirt kicking up from the ground. Let's see who is going to be able to take first heat.
Oh, it's going to be
close. Grand finals. Oh, look at that. Wow.
Photo finish. Wow.
That's going to be hard to sort out.
And it looks like we've got an updated scorecard on the screen for you all now, so you can see everybody how they're doing with their cumulative times, their total points, and that's going to pay dividends in the future. So I don't know who anybody is cheering for. I've seen a few people cheering for certain names in the Twitch chat. This is the time. Let us know who you're all supporting as we start to get ourselves set up for flight number 2. But there you go. You can see the scoreboard on your screen now after the first race in the T6 Texan class.
Yeah, very cool. I was out actually flying that thing. I wanted to get myself, see how proficient I was in the air racing simulation. And I'm really glad I'm not even on the same course with these guys right now, because just holding those altitudes and holding those courses, like Fred said, being smooth around the pylons and whatnot is absolutely the key. And they do it so well. I'm really kind of envious. I'm not sure I've got the patience to get as good at it as they are.
All right. Chewy just mentioned our title sponsor, Tobii Eye Tracker. Again, the top 3 finishers in today's event will each receive an Eye Tracker 5, compliments of Tobii. We have other prizes, though. We have some gift packages, compliments of the Reno Air Racing Association for all 7 of our finalists.
And again, it is going to be the biplane class. And as we've already mentioned, it'll be 1 lap around the course to set your qualifying time. And then after that, we will also have the staggered startup. So we're not going to see those bunched up aircraft like we saw in that first race, and like we'll most likely see in race number 3 and 4 today when we go to the unlimited and the jet class as well. One thing that we've been talking about is the Tobii Eye Tracker, and I have to say, for me, I feel like the Tobii Eye Tracker, the biplane class, is the one that it almost comes in use with, because you can see we've got Frank's POV here with this kind of limited visibility. He's kind of zoomed out his camera here to be able to get the widest FOV possible, but being able to use that Tobii Eye Tracker to get that much better sense of direction about where you're going and where you're moving, especially with that limited visibility, is so important. So it'll be interesting to see if our 3 winners, who are obviously going to be getting Tobii Eye Tracker 5 units coming to them after the series finishes, whether they'll be utilizing that into the future. But here we go, qualifying again for the biplane class. I'm looking forward to this one. CD, have you got any, I hate to say the word predictions because, well, who knows, but...
Well, you know, I don't have a prediction, but I am hoping for a redemption arc here from Flight Level 0. Again, our returning champion from last year, the overall winner, and yet finished 7th, last place, 0 points in our T6 race. So I'm sure he was not pleased with that result, and I know he's going to be looking to do better, as we're on board with Flight Level 0 right now.
Greg, was there anybody, like any of the racers, who stood out for you last week? Was there anybody who, when you were watching the heats last week, was a name that you remember now going into the finals that you kind of thought, oh yeah, I think they're going to stand a really great chance going into the finals week?
Well, I tell you, so Heavy Hemi and Sopwith Wally are the 2 that really kind of stood out, and of course there's a little bit of smack going on between those guys from time to time. I see that, and in logging on and flying some this last week, and I see the leaderboards, and of course they're there, and Harry's there as well, and so yeah, I think those guys have got a lot at stake from an ego standpoint. I know that they've got a lot of bragging rights on the line here, and it's interesting to watch them go between these different types of aircraft because they definitely have different handling characteristics. And proficiency in one does not necessarily beget proficiency in another, so at least not equal proficiency. So I'm really anxious to see how they perform.
So we're on board with Harry now, and he's got a webcam that you can see. So you can see how intently focused he is. The concentration. Look at this is the part that I was speaking about earlier, chat, that I love so much. You can see them. I feel like this is deliberate, the fact that he's not following the center line there. All of my inbuilt pilot instincts in me is telling me that you should be following the center line there, but not with this one. They know what they're doing. They know the line that they're taking to race towards that pylon number 1. And it looked like a nice clean start. So we've got the staggered start. We've got Heavy Hemi, Flight Level 0, and Harry Hauser, who started in the front row. Sopwith Wally and Stoyer in the second row. Frank is in the third row. And I'm not too sure what happened with our winner from race number 1 with Captain Jack Lyle. I don't know if there's a disconnect there or something, but unfortunately it doesn't look like he's been able to make it into this race. So we'll see if we can find out exactly what happened with that one. But we have got 6 clean racers at the moment on lap number 1. As we've already stated, it will be a bit of a staggered look. So again, if you have a look at that circular map on the right-hand side of the screen with the numbers, it's not going to look as clustered as it did during that first flight with everybody going around there. And we'll only really be able to find out a true winner once we get the final timings in at the end of this one. But, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if we've got a standout for this one. We were speaking about favorite classes. A lot of people love the P-51 Mustang just because of the history of it. I personally love the Jets just because of the speed of them, the T6 techs and the sound of them. And so it'll be interesting to see if we've got any of our 6 and 7 races today, if Jack Lyle's able to come back and join us again for the future races, who actually really like the biplane class and whether that's where they excel in this. And that's something that in the real world races, you don't really see. I mean, Greg, has it ever happened before where you actually get pilots who compete in multiple different classes? Is that a thing?
I've seen there's been a couple of them that have go between the sport class and the jet class in a couple of times. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, someone would have to correct me that's got more experience than I, but I believe we've had a couple that have crossed over between the jet class and the unlimiteds. I know many are qualified in both, whether they do them in the same race week or not. I'm not sure. I feel like we had Vicky Benzing was one who flew in the jet class and in the sport class. And I know there's a friend of mine, Jesse Panzer, who flew in the biplane class, and then also a P-51 in the unlimiteds. So, qualified for multiple classes is pretty common. Whether they do it in the same week or not, I think would be an interesting question to ask. I'm not really sure. I think I do know that those, again, at least those three were qualified. Now I'm watching, the biplanes here and haven't flown, really even. I've flown an L-39 as well. So the comparison between these aircraft and the way the simulator treats them, these biplanes are just inherently unstable by nature, and they are built and designed to be that way. They're built as aerobatic aircraft, and you watch the T6s as they can kind of ease into a turn or use that weight of the aircraft to move itself into a nice smooth turn. The biplanes are completely different. At one twitch of that stick, and you might find yourself inverted. So it's an interesting, it's so accurate, and I watch how the different reactions or reflexes in some cases. You can see the pilot react to a turn that's a little bit too steep, to try to shallow it up a little bit. They overcompensate, and you see the wings jerk, where you don't see that quite as prominently in the other aircraft. So they've definitely got the squirrely nature of these little guys, very well captured. And, the biplane and, of course, Formula One, which we don't have simulated yet in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but they're very, inexpensive ways for people that might want to get into, real air racing and real flying and not have some of the overhead that comes with, some of the larger, faster aircraft. But it's certainly as exciting. And I think you'd find that the camaraderie among the biplane classes, they're a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, they're probably, when I interviewed probably 24 of them not too long ago, every single one of them said the same thing. Well, this is the most fun class, and we're the best. They definitely have their own culture. It's a great group of people.
Yeah, I'm going to point out something for the sake of our research. I'll let you go in just 1 second.
There you go.
The leaderboard you see on your screen right now with Heavy Hemi in first and Frank in last, that is totally unofficial, especially for the biplane class. It is actually possible, and I don't know this for sure, that Frank could actually be in the lead right now. Because of that staggered start at the beginning, there is a time adjustment in the biplane class that occurs at the end of the race. So if you start in the second row or the third row, you actually have time subtracted from your finish time. So this is totally unofficial, what you're seeing on your screen right now. And we will actually not know who is winning this race until we see the official race result at the end of lap 6.
I kind of like that, especially with how close all of these races are, with the fact that it is such a tight group when they are racing the other classes. Being able to see it with the biplanes here and just kind of almost leaving them to their own devices on this one. It's all about that smooth flying. They're not necessarily worrying about trying to shrug somebody off their shoulder as much if there's only going to be 2 or 3 other aircraft within close proximity to them. It's more so about them just concentrating on their own line, getting comfortable with that. And as Greg and Fred have already told you on today's stream, it's all about the smooth flying as well. Those jerky movements, adding drag to the aircraft is exactly what you do not want. And that's in the real world and also in the simulator as well. You can just see how smooth all of these folks are on their controls. When we were on Harry's camera earlier on, you could see the concentration, but you could see he's not what I call stirring the porridge, which you certainly see some pilots like to do with certain types of aircraft where they're really kind of working the stick, so to speak. You don't get that here, but we're coming up to the finish line now, so we're going to be able to find out our final leaderboard for race number 2.
There's the last one.
There we go. Let's find out our final 6 for this course. Unfortunately, Jack Lyle, it looks like wasn't able to join us for this one, as we've already mentioned. I think that should be the last person through the home pylon now. The race has finished, and let's have a look at the scores. There we go. So much more split in terms of the overall standings there, but the top 3 only split by 3 seconds on that one. We've got Heavy Hemi taking the win by the looks of it
This is unofficial until we see the adjustment.
Unofficially. Let's
there we go. Here's the it was indeed heavy Hemi. Yeah.
There we go. So we've got our final timings. Race time 5 minutes 49 seconds 0.9. So under 5 minutes 50. The only of our racers with a time of under 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Heavy Hemi takes first place in round number 2. Sop with Wally, second place. Flight level 0 coming back up the leaderboard after a disappointing round 1. And in third place for this one, Harry Hauser, who we saw smooth on the flight controls there. Unfortunately, it didn't lead to the fastest time. 5 minutes 52.765, his score to take him into fourth place. Stoyer, we've got with 5 minutes 57 dead in fifth. And then Frank, I'm going to try and do it, chat. Here we go. Wait, I need to get the text again. So it's Frank Govia. I'm definitely not getting that right. I'm going to have to try and get it right. But sixth place on this one. So there we go. Our final standings for round number 2. CD's obviously officially timekeeping as well as commentating with us today. Me and Greg have got it easy. We're just sitting here having a chat with each other and hopefully entertaining you folks. So we could chat here all night, Greg, couldn't we? You and I, we could chat away about planes easily.
All right, there is our updated correct score sheet after the end of race 2.
Look at that, quick as a flash. It is nothing if not efficient here. Right, looks like we're getting into the jet race number 3 for this one, and it is qualifying. So obviously we're now moving on to the much larger track because of the aircraft that we're going to be flying. I absolutely love these jet aircraft. They're so much fun to fly in the sim, and they're awesome to see in real life as well. Harry with his concentration face on. Now, one thing that I absolutely love with Harry here, can you notice it if you look at his camera? I think he's tilting his head. We all do that. You don't realize that you're doing it, but whenever you're racing in here, you tilt your head, and then when you look at how he's leveled out, and he's almost as he turns into this corner. There we go. There's the head again.
There it is.
There it is. We all do it. It's the subconscious things that we do as a pilot, right? Which is absolutely awesome to see. So Harry knows that I'm messing with him here. He's laughing at the end of the qualifying round there, and it looks like we've got our qualifiers through. There we go. Unofficial results, but Heavy Hemi. It looks like he's going to be taking first place on this one, and again, the top 4 only split by 0.2 of a second. Pretty unbelievable, isn't it? If you really think about it, how close these folks are.
Yeah, it's amazing. They really got this will step it up a bit. It'll be interesting to see how this goes out.
And we've got that added factor with the wake turbulence as well. I think that's something that was so really critical for the Reno Air Race series within Microsoft Flight Simulator to be able to model is the wake turbulence and everything in here. I've had various discussions, and I know, CD, you're way more of an expert on this than I am, in terms of in certain classes you can actually use positioning behind aircraft as a kind of like a jet stream behind them to be able to improve your positioning, but in other categories it can be a downfall to you. And it's really interesting to see that these racers, you might not notice it as a casual viewer, but they are utilizing these tactics. And here we go. This is the crazy one, chat. This is going to be great to see. Look at those aircraft bobbing all over the place.
And they're really moving too. This is a lot of speed being applied in a tight space, over the unlimited course, like Fred was mentioning earlier. And it is really, when they head out into the valley of speed, they're moving.
Just a quick note to Jane. While the jet class race is underway, can we get another giveaway opened in the chat for that second prize pack, compliments of the Reno Air Racing Association? And we'll do the draw when the race is over. There it is. ! Ticket space 1 to enter. We'll draw this at the end of the jet race.
Best of luck, everybody. So the only downfall with the fact that we are with the jet race is just how quick everything's going to be going. Oh, and it looks like we've got our drone operator back. The one.
Yeah, we are. There we go.
There he is. He's been able to put the battery pack back in his drone, fire up the drone once again, and get flying again. Thank you, Peter. It's good to have you back. It wouldn't be the Reno Air Race stream without you. There we go. You can see everybody in close formation there once again. We've got a little bit more of an extended pack, you can see, but look at how close it is. Sop with Wally in the lead there, and look at the bouncing that Harry's got to deal with. We talked about this smooth movement on the joystick during that biplane class. on Harry's view there, when he's trying to battle that turbulence, you can see the movements. They're having to stir the porridge a little bit more. We go back to that phrase beforehand. He's got to try and battle that with the close formation of all of the other pilots. And there we go. All 7 racers, all within a split second or so of each other. It's got to be. It's incredible.
We got a quick question from the chat. Wicked Boss asks, those races are in the game. Yes, Wicked Boss. The Reno Air Racing expansion DLC launched in 2021. It's available from the InSim marketplace for both PC and Xbox. There are 2 packages available. For the $19.99 US dollars, you can buy the base package, which gets you the racing mode and 1 plane of each of the 4 classes. Or for $59.99 US dollars, you can get the full collection, which gets you the full racing mode and 10 unique aircraft, all modeled after real-world race planes for each of the 4 race classes, for a total of 40 planes in all. So it's great value. And those planes also, because I know this question comes up all the time, you can fly those planes in free flight in Microsoft Flight Sim from the world map as well, not just in the race mode.
Yeah, absolutely. And they all have their own characteristics. And that's something that we've not really pointed out so far. One thing that you might be wondering, Fred spoke about it earlier on about how the T6 Texans were stock. Especially when we go to the unlimited class later, the final race of the evening. It's unlimited. It's called that for a reason, right? Because, there are no limits on it. The amount of editing and things that the teams do to those aircraft is absolutely phenomenal, to be able to try and tweak them just to be able to get that little bit of extra speed and really stand out from the rest of the pack. However, there is the option within the Microsoft Flight Simulator DLC to ensure that no matter what livery and specification you fly, everybody is all even. So it doesn't matter which one you pick within the race, everybody will have the exact same characteristics with their aircraft. However, if you really wanted to be realistic, you can turn that feature off. And so depending on which aircraft you pick, you shouldn't necessarily pick the one that's got the coolest color scheme. You actually need to pick the fastest aircraft, which in the real world's counterpart was that fast as well. And I love the level of complexity and detail that the DLC goes in with that. So there's lots that are included with the DLC. And again, as CD mentions, you can just fly it. You don't just have to fly it within the race series itself as well, right?
Want to jump in? I noticed we just got a raid from Fly Lilo. I want to give a shout out to Lilo and Roberto and their community. And Greg, this is a great segue. I wanted to turn this over to you in one moment. Lilo and Roberto are disability advocates. Lilo is a quadriplegic. He has very limited motion except with his head. But his friend Roberto has created for him a custom flight sim setup with buttons that are placed in the back of his chair. And he is actually able to fly using only head movements. Now, I wonder if, Greg, you can talk a little bit about Justin Metters and Team Limitless Racing and their inspirational story.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin is such an inspiration for everyone, just in perseverance and just character. He is someone who doesn't see himself as having a disability. He really sees himself as having an opportunity. And it is manifested in his heart, the way he really goes after, the championship, every time he gets in the aircraft. And of course, his Formula One, gives him the perfect platform. The aircraft's low, he can get in and out of his chair really well. But, at 22 years old, he had an extreme sports motorcycle or racing accident. And, he's 22 years old and left him paralyzed. And he sort of worked through the idea that this is not something that's going to take him down, and he had a lot of rehab, a lot of different physical activities, got himself up to a point where he could get into a special racing chair, and he could compete in swimming, and then he even went on to triathlons and different things like that. So he's got as he moves forward through his life, he realizes that not only can he do these things that was on the ground, but now all of a sudden he can do it in the air.
Sorry, Greg, I got to interrupt you just for 1 second. We just had our jet race finish. We'll get those official results. But I do want to return to the conversation about Justin after we talk about our jet results, because it is a very inspirational story. And for those of you who don't know who Justin is, he is a Reno race pilot. He is a paraplegic. So as Greg was mentioning, he was in a motorcycle accident. So now he has no movement in his legs. But he has a specially modified Formula One race plane and was last year's Formula One gold champion.
Gold champion, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Right, there we are. We've got our race results just coming through. It looks like Sopwith Wally will extend their lead at the top of the leaderboard. And again, the top 4 only separated by what looks about 0.7 of a second or so. Oh, no, sorry, a little bit more than that, about 1.6 seconds. Excuse my eyes there. So very close racing once again from these folks. You're going to see the race results come up on your screen now. There we go. We've got everybody in order. Sopwith Wally there in first place. We've got Heavy Hemi second place coming in. Very, very close indeed. Only 0.6 of a second, 0.5 of a second off first place. Harry Hauser third. Flight Level 0 fourth. Captain Jack Lyle back in the race and in fifth place. Stoyer in sixth. Frank in seventh. And then, Peter in eighth. No, Peter, it is great to see you back in the lobby as our drone pilot. Thank you, Peter. And obviously, we've got CD now, who's going to be... head down on the pen and paper, writing down everybody's scores and making sure that we've got everything updated to get the official leaderboard all in good order. So it's getting close, and the USA are leading in the top two. The only two racers in the 30-point zone are Sopwith Wally, 39 points now. Heavy Hemi, second place with 31 points. We've got Harry Hauser repping South Africa, third place, 21 points. Captain Jack Lyle, 19 points. 15 points for Flight Level 0 from Germany. Also from Germany, both the Germans on exactly the same point tally of 15 points. And then Frank with 4 points as well there that you can see on the scoreboard. So it's looking really close. I mean, I have a feeling that Sopwith Wally and Heavy Hemi have probably guaranteed themselves a Tobii eye tracker now, although with the point scoring system, anything can change. You never know. But seeing just how close some of those other races there, Harry, Flight Level 0, Jack Lyle and Stoyer are, you never know who's going to be able to grab that third one. It's all to play for going into the fourth and final race of the evening. I'm sure there's a bit of bragging rights going on here, though, right? Yeah. I know they're playing for the prizes, but these folks are all part of a community, and I see people have been discussing it in the Twitch chat as well, that there is a whole kind of private community of friends who all get together and practice these races, and some of the people that you see appearing on the live stream today are part of that community. CD, I know that you're also part of that community and you get heavily involved there. So I'm sure there'll be bragging rights for this one, right?
Great. They call it the September family. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah.
Well, the September family absolutely refers to the time of the year. It happens in the third week of September every year. This year it's the 13th through the 17th. So it's an iconic gathering. It's a family reunion with 120,000 of your closest friends, all converging on this thing. And I've been fortunate enough this year to be working with a lot of all of our photographers from 2022. And one of the requests we made from them this last year was to make sure we got a lot more lifestyle shots and a lot more coverage of the people enjoying the races and things like that. And some of the things they brought back were just absolutely so touching. Your pals there in Section 3, their show of support and excitement for the races. Seeing people there with their kids. In some cases, we had 3 and even 4 generations of family, being there watching the races together. And it's just a pilgrimage that's been made every year since 1950 or since 1964, and definitely the Stead since 1966. So it's definitely a family, and it's something that people are going to miss. We hope that they'll all move to the new location when we're able to announce it.
I'm sure they will. I have no doubt about that. Right, here we go then, folks. This is the last race of the evening.
Oh, no, sorry. Nope. I just got word from production. I think we had someone drop, so we're going to have to restart the qualification.
It's not. It's the curse of the commentator. Blame me. It's not the final race of the evening. Luckily, I didn't hype that one up too much. Otherwise, it would have been incredibly awkward. So we'll move back to the jet race screen again so you can see the final timings with the updated leaderboard. If you are just joining us, welcome, good evening, happy Wednesday evening, afternoon, morning, night, wherever you are all tuning in from. Let's do this, actually. We're just talking about family and people tuning and people, visiting Reno from different places. Where's everybody tuning in from this evening? I'd love to know where you're all watching from at home today. We've got a variety of different nationalities being represented within our races and within the commentary team as well. So I'd love to know where everybody tuning in from in the chat today are watching in from. We've got people from Texas, Sweden, Canada. There you go. For CD, we've got the Netherlands as well. Amazing. We've got all sorts of.
There's our Germans. We had the crazy Germans, they called themselves last week. We're our crazy Germans. Those guys were just really hamming it up last week, and it made it a lot of fun. So shout out from those guys.
It's great. I love it.
That's
I
really
absolutely
neat.
love that we've got, and the great thing as well is, you can see that there's no real, I'm not really noticing any latency issues or anything like that. We've got people in South Africa connecting to people from North America, connecting to people from Europe as well. And yeah, there's a couple of disconnect things that we've got at the moment, but it's really easily sorted out and the lobby created again. And we can fill time here as we wait for them to be able to get back into the lobby. So it's no problem whatsoever. So we really appreciate you all tuning in with us this evening. We know that obviously there was the MSFS Dev Q&A stream earlier on. I was tuning in the background after my own live stream and very much paying attention to some of the cool things that were shown in that, especially the ATR, which comes out next month, that I'm very excited for. That aircraft a little bit slower than some of the one featured here on our
Just a little.
evening stream. Just a little bit slower.
Oh, Chewy, look who we've got in chat.
Oh, hello,
Your
Jamie.
countrymen. We have got Jamie, the legendary London controller, is joining us. Welcome in, London controller.
Good evening, Jamie. Welcome. How are you, my friend? Hope you're well. So yeah, we've got people tuning in from all sorts of different locations. We could tell that there are people tuning in from Portugal cheering on Frank. I absolutely love to see that. That's great. That's really great to see. So hopefully you're all cheering for races of your own nationality on this one. It looks like we've got the lobby being set up. We've got 6 out of 7 races, just getting things going once again. And we'll get everybody on here. You can see the T6 Texans lined up after the race earlier on today. The grandstands are filled in the virtual sense for the grand finals of the Reno Air Race Series. We have got prizes on the line that will be decided after this very race. So once we've got all 7 pilots in and the settings are all in good order, which will just be checked before they get into the qualifying stages, we will get into that qualifying as it has been, single lap just to decide the times. And then we'll have everybody, I'm sure, once again in close formation.
So we got a very important question from Jamie here. And now,
Yes.
obviously, as the play-by-play commentator for the race, you, of course, are neutral. You do not play favorites. But London Controller wants to know, who are us Brits cheering for?
That's it. Well, everybody in the chat, who are the Brits cheering on? Now, in my commentary experience over the last 11 years since I started commentating esports and things, although I retired from that a while ago, apart from this, it was always very bad luck to predict who you thought was going to win whilst the matches or anything were on. And you certainly didn't mention a favourite, that's for sure. Otherwise, it really did certainly jinx them. So I won't be mentioning a favourite. I've already mentioned the 2 who, judging from the scoreboard so far, I have a feeling are going to be taking home those Tobii eye trackers and probably finishing in 1st and 2nd place, although it's not confirmed which position for those 2. But it's super close. It's super close on this one. So I'm enjoying this. Of course, my lovely partner Chewbecca is supporting whoever finishes in 1st place. She has to support the winner. That's the only option. So
Looks like our lobby is full now. The 8th racer just joined, so we should get the restart there for the unlimited qualifications any second.
Brilliant. There we go. I love that we've got this kind of like intro screen here where you can see all the aircraft getting ready to line up on the runway for departure. There's always that sense, isn't there, Greg, before a race and everything, when everybody's kind of getting ready to go. I know there's the takeoff procedure that everybody does, and then there's a little bit of time where you've got the formation aircraft as well, getting everybody set up. But there's always that, I love that sense of anticipation that you get leading up to a race, leading up to that moment where you see everybody kind of, they go over the grandstand and the race goes and you hear over the radio, we've got a race and everything. It's such
Gentlemen,
a cool
you
moment,
have a
right?
race.
That's
Yeah,
it.
well,
It's so great to see.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah.
So, Greg, after the qualification for Unlimited ends and we get into the final race of the day, I'm going to turn it over to you as our representative from the Reno Air Racing Association. You can give the famous call when we start our Unlimited class race following these qualifications.
Well, that'd be an honor, Edie. I appreciate that. That's something it is exciting, and Julie's absolutely right. When you hear that's when you see people, they move up to the edge of their seat. You see, whatever flags they're waving, they all get really active, and then it's on. For that period of time, it is on. You see these people are completely engaged, and they're cheering on their favorite plane. But I've never seen a group of people that celebrate any winner like National Championship Air Race fans. It doesn't matter who wins; they have their favorite, of course. But the first ones to congratulate the winner are all the people that they just beat.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They really are. And then, of course, the fans, everybody's just thrilled with the finish and to be there and experience this, just the excitement and the pageantry of all this. We're obviously sad that this is the last time that we're going to be at Reno for 2023. But like Fred said, I'll echo what he was saying earlier, to be able to live on here as the course was in, I guess, 2019, 2020, when this is being developed, is really exciting. And it's going to have a place in the lore of all of this as we move ahead. And I'll echo Fred's little shout out there. I think he's we'll have to talk to Jorg a little bit and see if we can start working on the new venue the minute we know what it is. So
I want to see the stall class. That's the one that I want. I remember sitting there in the mornings with a cup of coffee and just watching the stall classes go back and forth, and that was such a great way to set up the day. It was so fun to see. And some of those aircraft, folks, if we've not got it in the simulator at the moment, but only after, not now, but after the stream finishes, go onto YouTube, go and have a look at the stall races from Reno Air Race 2022 or in previous years before then. It's so cool, the things that they do. You've got people doing stop turns in Cessna 182s after traveling down a strip at like 20 feet and trying to stop the aircraft as soon as possible without planting the nose, spinning it around 180 degrees and then flying back in the opposite direction. It's so cool to see, and they can stop those aircraft on a dime. So definitely go and have a look at that on YouTube. I'd love to see it in the simulator as well. But here we go, Greg, I'm going to hand it to you. It looks like the races are all coming up to the start line. Set us off for the final race of the evening.
Here they come. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have a race.
All right, well, thank you for that introduction, Greg. We're underway for our fourth and final race of the Reno Air Race Series presented by Tobii. Grand Finals, 8 laps to go in Unlimited. A quick request to Jane, when you have a moment, if you can open up the third and final giveaway to our chat viewers for that prize pack. Thank you for doing that. !ticket space 1 to enter your name into a prize pack, compliments of the Reno Air Racing Association. Also would like to give a shout out to, I hope I pronounced your name correctly here, Miki Pazzola. Yeah, hola, welcome in. Says they represent the Spanish flight sim community. Well, we'd love to have you here for our Reno Air Race Series Grand Finals presented by Tobii.
Awesome, here we go. So 8 laps on this one, but as you can see, the lap time is pretty short. It's only about a 41-second lap we've got on this. Drone camera coming in over the look at the pylons. Look at those, all 7 racers in incredibly close formation. Once again, they are not letting up with this one. It is all to play for. Concentration faces on, and the head tilts going as Harry moves round pylon number 4, heading towards pylon number 5. And so because of that, the fast speed of these jets, and because of the quick lap times, we've got 8 laps on this one. We're already on lap number 2. You can see Frank there getting caught up a little bit in the wake turbulence of those other 6 aircraft ahead of them. And just look at how close they are with each other. Sopwith Wally, currently leader on the leaderboards. Heavy Hemi, second on the leaderboards. Those two standing out from the pack already. But it is super close. You can see the split timings on the right-hand side next to everybody's names. We've not had a single pylon cut today. Am I going to be jinxing that? I don't know. We'll see soon. It actually looked like we had a 58-second timer there. So I think the reason why it looked like it was a 41-second timer was because, of course, with the unlimited class, they actually start on the back straight there. So it's about a minute a lap, but they're making very close time with this one. And it's again, just as it has been all throughout the evening, it's way too close to predict any sort of winner at this stage.
They really are. This is a furball we've got going out here. It is amazing. They have really got some skill being showed here. And I think they're really looking to make a statement on this last race.
Yeah.
Here we are, pylon 7.
As Chewy said, when we looked at the leaderboards following the third or fourth races, it looks like Heavy Hemi and Sopwith Wally are, I think, mathematically guaranteed to finish in the top 3. But there are only 6 points that separate 3rd place from 6th place. And again, the top 3 will get a Tobii eye tracker. So, the 6th place racer is got so much on the line in this one. May need a little bit of help depending on the placements of the people above him to get that Tobii eye tracker. But, it's there's so much on the line right here for the 3rd place finisher to get that Tobii eye tracker.
And as we spoke about earlier on, we've got the bragging rights on the line as well. So even though Heavy Hemi and Sopwith Wally might be guaranteed to finish in the top 3, don't think that they are just going to hold back and let the other racers, gather some more points and let them race. They want to take this in storming fashion. They've been at the top of the leaderboard for pretty much the entirety of the evening, and they're still there in first and second place. You can see it on the right-hand side. We're on screen with Frank at the moment. He's got a beautiful view of all of those other 6 aircraft ahead of him. He's still keeping up with them, though, Frank. He's doing a great job. Even though he's in last place at the moment on this race, he's still doing a great job just to try and keep up with those other 6. It's not easy. We're making it sound very easy, and all of these races are making it look very easy, but they're battling the forces. You can see those P-51 beautiful aircraft. They're shaking around as soon as they get behind other aircraft. It's a tricky thing to try and combat. You can see Harry really trying to fight with the controls there as they head towards the next pylon. I think we're heading down towards pylon number 5 now by the looks of things. And it's phenomenal. You really kind of get a sense of speed, especially when we go back to a drone camera view and you get that sense of speed as the aircraft pass. That's completely true. If you ever get to go out to a pylon, or if you ever get to see up close these aircraft pass, it's unbelievable the speed that they're going. Greg, you can attest to that, right?
Oh, it's absolutely. You're standing there and you can feel it. This is the rumble of the engines in your chest cavity as they go by. You can just feel it as your entire body just shakes. And you're seeing how much faster in the POV shots. You can really see how quickly compared to some of the other classes. The biplane and the T6, how fast you go past the pylon.
Yeah,
you see them coming through the valley of speed there. They kind of have a little bit of terrain following when they come in off of that pylon and come down the hill, gathering speed in that straightaway before they hit into the final the pylon 7. And it's just amazing to watch those racers come around, especially in a close race. In a close race, it's so exciting.
It really is that fast as well. It's unbelievable. I did upload some videos onto a Google Drive. I don't know if we're struggling for time and we've got a little bit of time to fill just as the official results come through. I might be able to try and send those across, but I know Jane's busy behind the scenes, so we won't worry about that this evening if not. But yeah, the sense of speed when an aircraft passes you, it's certainly a shock to the system, but in the most incredible way. So here we go. We've not got long left to go on this race. You can see the crowd here by this pylon as all 7 racers in incredibly close formation. And I did jinx it. We were talking about the dreaded pylon cut earlier on. I jinxed it, didn't I? I have to send a personal apology to Captain Jack Lyle, who has got a pylon cut next to his name. It is the only one of the evening, if I'm not mistaken. And look at this. CD, you were speaking about a certain racer who was the champion of the first series, who's been a little bit quiet this evening, but Flight Level 0 coming back with the redemption. I think we can safely say that the P-51 Mustang Unlimited class is Flight Level 0's favorite class, because look at them really hanging in with Heavy Hemi and Sopwith Wally, who's kind of been our standouts for this evening so far.
Yeah, just a few hundredths of a second separate our top 2 in this unlimited class race. Reminder to our viewers in chat, ! ticket space 1 to enter the ongoing giveaway. We'll do that draw when this race ends. That's for a prize pack, compliments of the Reno Air Racing Association.
Here we go. Final lap then as they go through pylon number 1. Let's see who's going to be able to take this. It looks really great that we've got Heavy Hemi and Sopwith Wally all doing well. Stoya also now into 3rd place as well. It's really difficult to call. It's impossible to really give much of an indication about who's going to be able to take the lead going into this. Look at that shot there we've got with the drone camera. Greg, who do you think is going to take this? We're going into pylon 5. Do you think Sopwith Wally's going to take the overall championship?
You're going to put it on me now.
I am going to put it on you. Come on. You're the expert here.
You know what? I think Sopwith Wally's going to hold on. I think he's going to hold on.
Okay, I like the commitment. I'm going to go with that as well. I'm going to agree with you on this one. I think Sopwith Wally's also going to be our champion this evening. Maybe Heavy Hemi's going to prove me wrong. Harry Hauser getting caught up in the turbulence there.
Flight Level 0
number 7
is now in first.
Oh, look at it. It's going back. You cannot predict it. Here we go. They're coming up to the finish line. This is the final turn of the evening. They're so close to the ground.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, my gosh.
What a finish.
Wow. What a way to finish. Look at that. There we go. That is the way to finish the evening off.
We could not have asked for a better ending to our 4th and final race in the grand finals than that one. I can't wait to see the official results. Now, remember, we do have a pylon cut from Captain Jack, so he will get a time penalty. But I'm not even sure our top 4, it could have been any one of them.
Yeah. Absolutely. Look at that. We've got 3 races there. These are the unofficial times. We've got 3 races all in the 7:29s. Look at how close it is. 5/100ths of a second separating.
And Heavy Hemi
first from
at
third.
7:30.000.
Dead.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's going to be big. And this is huge because if that's the official timings that we're going to have flight level 0, Stoyer and Sopwith Wally there in the top 2, I wonder what that is going to do for that 3rd place position. I have a feeling just with the fact that Sopwith Wally has beaten Heavy Hemi there, that might crown them the champions. Make sure to stick around though, folks, because we will have the official timings and the final scoreboard coming up on the screen. You can see the sun setting over the Nevada desert in the background there with the dust sill kicking up. All the races are complete for this evening.
Here is our final standings. Jane has put it up on the screen. Chewy, over to you. Why don't you walk us through who our winners are?
I'll walk you through it and then we can get back to Greg. And so it is the official champion, Sopwith Wally. Greg was right with his prediction. I wasn't setting Greg up with that. He knew in advance. He just knew he's got that talent to be able to predict a winner. There we go. Sopwith Wally, the only one in the 40-point range. Congratulations, our champion from the US of A with 48 points. Heavy Hemi, 2nd place, 37 points on this one. And Flight Level 0, because of their 15 points, because of their win in that final race, that guarantees them 3rd spot. They were the player who actually won the series for Series 1, and now they've got 3rd place on this one. Harry Hauser, we've got Stoyer actually, 27 points in 4th place. 5th place, Harry Hauser. Congratulations to you. Captain Jack Lyle. We've got 19 points there, and Frank with 6 points as well. So congratulations to all of our racers, especially Sopwith Wally with an outstanding 48 points, taking the win by a total of 11. So definitely the standout winner from our 4 races this evening. Congratulations.
I just want to point out something here. As you can see on your screen now, this is the total combined time across all 4 racers. Sopwith Wally and Heavy Hemi, of course, are top 2. Both of them had a combined time, 25 minutes, 56 seconds, and then 1.17, so 1700ths of a second, separated them total combined across all 4 races. You could not have asked for tighter competition than that.
That is unbelievable.
But the great thing is that there was 1700ths of a second, but there was still 11 points. And that's the thing that, the cumulative time is really important, but it's also your placements throughout those 4 heats and everything that really comes into factor, because even though it was by the tightest of margins with the cumulative time, there's still 11 points separating them. So great races by everybody. You can see there's really not a whole lot. Look at the cumulative times overall. We've got 25, 56, 828 as our fastest, but the slowest was only 26, 24483, and that was Jack, who did have some connection issues as well. So I mean,
and with the pylon cut penalty as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's still incredibly close between all 7 racers. Anything could have gone in either direction between them. I'm sure if we do a 3rd series of this, there are going to be some names that we potentially see back on the leaderboards again. So congratulations to all 7 of our finalists. They aren't all going home empty-handed. They're all going to be getting some swag bags as well, as a thank you from everybody here for participating in the grand final. So a great job by all of them, and nice, clean, fair racing, I think, by everybody this evening.
Yeah, definitely. And on that note, I once again want to thank our title sponsor, Tobii, who has furnished 3 Tobii Eye Tracker 5s for our top 3 placers. Heavy Hemi, Sopwith Wally, and Flight Level 0 will each receive an Eye Tracker 5 compliments of Tobii. And compliments of the Reno Air Racing Association. All 7 finalists are going to receive a prize pack from the Reno Air Races. So, Greg, thank you so much for that kind donation. And for those viewers in chat, if you would like to get a Tobii eye tracker yourself, there is a link in the chat. You can check it out. I have one. Chewy, you have one. I absolutely love mine. It's a fantastic flight sim peripheral. It really enhances the immersion. So if it's something, if you're looking to make that next step into improving your home cockpit setup, I would definitely highly recommend a Tobii Eye Tracker 5.
Absolutely. It's an incredible bit of kit. Simply one cable, plug it in via USB and download a bit of software and you're good to go. And it's natively accessible in the sim as well. So Really great fun. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I think it was great. I've got to go back to the comment Greg made about offers there. Greg, I'm going to put in, even though I've got nothing to do with the airport, I'm going to put in a formal offer now that you come to Oxford Kidlington Airport here in the UK. I want to see the Reno Air Races in England so that I don't have to travel halfway across the world just to come and see all of you folks and be part of that September family again. I promise there'll be unlimited supplies of cups of tea and coffee as well, because I know you drink that more in America, and so do I now, to be fair, if you folks do all come over here to the UK.
Well, on that note, Chewy, the history of air racing, it truly is an international sport. Of course, we associate Reno with being the premier event right now in the United States, but the very first air race ever was in Paris, France, in 1909, just 6 years, not even, like 5.5 years after the Wright brothers made their first historic flight at Kitty Hawk. Wow. The French were hosting the very first ever air race. So that's how entwined racing is with the history of flight. Now, on that note, I just want to thank once again our sponsors, Tobii and the Reno Air Racing Association. I want to thank all 7 of our racers. They put on a fantastic show for the viewers. For the viewers yourselves, thank you so much for being here. Congratulations to the 3 lucky viewers from chat who won that prize pack from the Reno Air Racing Association. And then finally, last but not least, our production team of Jane and Peter. Thank you so much for all your hard work behind the scenes. And then Chewy and Greg, our on-camera hosts. Thank you so much for being here. I will give the 2 of you the last word, starting with Chewy.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to be back again in the virtual sense. Obviously, with a tint of sadness that we are going into the final year of it at Reno, but being able to join you here and bring my slight expertise, not very much expertise, with commentating over these things. I hope everybody at home has enjoyed my commentary, so I really appreciate you all listening to me rabbit on about these amazing aviators, even in the virtual sense as well. And it's been a pleasure to be on once again. Greg, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on board as well. Hoping that it's going to be a positive future for everybody at the Air Race Association, and I'll let you have the final word of the evening.
Oh, thanks so much, Stuart. Always great to see you again, mate. We've had such a good time here today. It's certainly got to want to shout out to my boss, Fred Telling, for coming on and giving us such a great start, so much color and so much information about his history and passion for these races. And I think, we want him. We want him over. I think he was already, intrigued, but having seen this, he sent me a text right after he signed off. He said, "That was fun. I hope they'll have me back." So,
that would be a thrill. For our viewers in chat, I hope you appreciated what a rare treat it was to have the CEO and chairman of the Reno Air Racing Association join us live on this channel to kick off our final racing today.
Yeah, he's such a kind man. He's very generous. He's one of those that is just irreplaceable, and I can't say enough about his quality and his mentorship. When it comes to and his passion for the air races. He truly is an iconic gentleman, and certainly one of the reasons that the air races has been successful for as long as it has.
All right. Well, and obviously this is the last year in Reno. You can get your tickets on sale now at airrace.org if you want to attend the very last air race, the National Championship Air Races and Air Show at Reno State Airport. But of course, as Greg said, air racing will continue, and we're looking forward to hear where the new home will be very soon. On that note, we're going to sign off here. Thank you once again to our sponsors, our viewers, our co-panelists, and our behind-the-scenes production crew. We will see you on Friday for Community Fly-In right here on this channel. It is Greek Independence Day this weekend, so we're going to do a flight in Greece for Community Fly-In Friday this week. Check out all the details on our forums. They'll be up later today. Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night.